How to recognize signs of God in your life, the power of discernment and spiritual guidance. Throughout human history, people across all cultures and faiths have reported experiencing moments when they felt guided. These experiences often come when we need them most, during times of confusion, crisis. Yet in our fast-paced, noise-filled modern world, recognizing these divine signs, the question isn't whether God speaks to us, but whether we've learned to listen. This guide will explore the profound art of spiritual discernment, the ability to recognize God's presence and guidance in your daily life. Developing this awareness can transform how you experience your existence. The nature of spiritual signs. Divine communication rarely comes as dramatic, unmistakable miracles. Think of it as learning a new language. At first, the signs may seem random or meaningless. God's signs can manifest in countless ways, through people who enter your life, through recurring themes or symbols, through circumstances that seem impossibly coordinated, or through that deep inner knowing that transcends logic. These signs aren't meant to control your life, but to guide you toward your highest purpose. Why signs matter. Recognizing divine signs serves several crucial purposes in our spiritual journey. Actively involved in our lives. Second, they provide direction when we feel lost or uncertain. Third, they offer confirmation when we're on the right path. Finally, they deepen our relationship with the divine, transforming abstract faith into lived experience. The foundation: cultivating spiritual awareness, creating inner silence. The first and perhaps most important step in recognizing God's signs is cultivating inner silence. Our minds are constantly buzzing with thoughts, worries, plans, and distractions. Begin by establishing a daily practice of stillness. This doesn't necessarily mean formal meditation, though that can be powerful. Or simply pausing throughout your day to breathe deeply and center yourself. In these moments of quiet, you create space for something greater than your own thoughts. Many spiritual traditions speak of the still, small voice of God. This voice isn't loud or demanding. It's gentle, persistent, and easily missed if we're not paying attention. Think of it like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded, noisy room. You must first reduce the external and internal noise before you can perceive that quiet voice. Developing spiritual sensitivity. Just as an artist trains their eye to see subtle variations in color and light, this requires intentional practice and patience. Start by paying attention to your intuition, those gut feelings or sudden knowings. Notice synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. Or you've been wrestling with a question and a stranger's conversation provides. These moments often carry spiritual significance. Also pay attention to your dreams. Throughout history, dreams have been recognized as a primary channel for divine communication. Over time, patterns and messages may emerge that provide insight and guidance. The sign of peace. One of the most reliable indicators of God's presence is a profound sense of peace that transcends circumstances. This isn't the absence of challenges or the presence of happiness. It's a deep, unshakable calm that exists despite external chaos. Often, the right path is marked not by excitement or fear, but by a quiet sense of rightness, as if every cell in your body recognizes truth. When avoiding something difficult, it's a peace that coexists with challenge, a peace that says, "This is hard, but you're exactly where you need to be." Doors opening and closing. Pay attention to the natural flow of opportunities in your life. When you're aligned with divine will, doors often open in unexpected ways. That seem almost magical. This doesn't mean everything becomes easy, but there's a sense of flow, as if you're swimming with the current rather than against it. Conversely, when doors consistently slam shut, despite your best efforts, sometimes God's most loving answer is no or not yet. A closed door isn't necessarily a punishment. It may be protection from a path that would ultimately harm you or redirect you towards something better than you could have imagined. Repeating numbers, symbols, and messages. Many people report seeing certain numbers repeatedly on clocks, license plates, receipts. While skeptics dismiss this as mere pattern recognition, those experiencing it often find deep meaning in these repetitions. Similarly, you might encounter the same message or theme through different channels within a short period. A verse in a religious text, a line in a song, a comment from a friend, an article you read. Pay attention. This repetition is often how the divine ensures we don't miss what we need to hear. Sometimes God speaks through other people. A chance encounter with a stranger who shares exactly the wisdom you needed. A friend who calls at the precise moment you were about to make a wrong decision. These are rarely coincidences. Be especially attentive to people who challenge you in constructive ways. Not every divine messenger arrives with comfort and validation. Sometimes God sends people who push us to grow, who speak difficult truths. The sign of provision. Notice how your needs are met, often in unexpected ways. This might be financial provision, arriving just when you need it, though from an unanticipated source. It might be emotional support appearing when you feel most alone. It might be the solution to a problem presenting itself from an unlikely direction. Waiting for miracles while taking no action. Rather, when you're taking aligned action, working toward your purpose, living according to your values, notice how provision flows in ways that exceed what your efforts alone could produce. Some people experience divine presence through physical sensations, a warmth in the chest, tingles along the spine, a sudden surge of energy. These physical responses can indicate that you've encountered truth or touched something sacred. Similarly, you might notice energy shifts in environments. Certain places or situations might feel heavy or draining, while others feel light and expansive. These feelings can guide you toward or away from people, places, and situations. The art of discernment, true signs versus false signals. Understanding the difference. Not every intuition is divine guidance, and not every coincidence carries spiritual meaning. Discernment is the ability to distinguish between genuine spiritual guidance. Our fears, our desires, our conditioning, our ego. True divine guidance tends to have certain characteristics. It aligns with love, truth, and growth. It may challenge you, but it doesn't shame or diminish you. It may be difficult, but it doesn't feel destructive. It brings ultimate peace, even when it initially brings discomfort. Red flags to watch for. Be wary of guidance that inflates your ego, encourages you to harm others. Be suspicious of urgency and pressure. Divine guidance rarely demands immediate action. Be cautious of guidance that contradicts your deeply held values or asks you to violate your integrity. Also distinguish between divine guidance and wishful thinking. Sometimes we desperately want something to be a sign because it confirms what we already want to do. True discernment requires brutal honesty with yourself about your motives and desires. Many wisdom traditions recommend testing spiritual experiences against established truth. Does this guidance align with the sacred texts of your tradition? Does it resonate with the wisdom of spiritually mature people you trust? Does it produce good fruit in your life? Love, joy, peace, patience. Give yourself time before acting on what you believe is divine guidance, especially for major decisions. True guidance will remain consistent over time, while false signals often shift or fade. Be willing to be wrong. Developing your discernment muscle. Keep a spiritual journal. One of the most powerful practices for developing discernment is keeping a spiritual journal. Record moments when you felt guided, notice synchronicities, or experienced what you believe might be divine signs. Note what was happening in your life at the time, how you felt, what you did in response. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns. You'll learn to recognize your personal ways that God tends to communicate with you. You'll also identify false signals, those times you thought you were being guided. This self-knowledge is invaluable for sharpening your discernment. Practice in small things. Don't wait for major life decisions to practice discernment. Exercise this muscle in small, low-stakes situations. Ask for guidance about what to read, where to go for lunch, whom to reach out to today. Did following your intuition lead to something meaningful? Or did it lead nowhere? This practice has dual benefits. First, it develops your sensitivity to divine communication. And God's trust in your responsiveness. Why would the divine entrust you with major guidance. If you haven't learned to follow minor promptings, find community and mentorship. Discernment isn't meant to be practiced in isolation. Throughout history, spiritual seekers have relied on communities and mentors. Find people who are further along the spiritual path than you are. Share your experiences with trusted, mature believers who can offer perspective. While guidance from others is valuable, you must develop your own direct connection. Use community to confirm and test what you're sensing, but don't let others override your own spiritual knowing. Common obstacles to recognizing divine signs. The noise of modern life. Our contemporary world is designed to keep us distracted. Between work demands, digital notifications, entertainment options, and social media. This constant stimulation drowns out subtle spiritual communication. Intentionally create space in your life for receptivity. This might mean regular digital detoxes, saying no to some commitments, or protecting certain times of day as sacred. You might need to disappoint others or miss out on certain experiences to make room for spiritual awareness. This is a worthy trade. Skepticism and over-rationalization. While healthy skepticism is important, excessive rationalization can blind us to genuine spiritual experiences. Some people explain away every potential sign, attributing everything to coincidence. This leaves no room for the transcendent. Balance is key. Maintain critical thinking while remaining open to mystery. Remember that the absence of scientific explanation doesn't invalidate an experience. Can't be fully captured by materialist frameworks. Fear and unworthiness. Many people unconsciously block divine communication because they don't believe they're worthy of it. They see themselves as too flawed, too sinful, or too ordinary to receive direct guidance from God. This is a profound misunderstanding of divine nature. The truth is that every human being is inherently worthy of divine love and guidance. You don't need to earn it through perfect behavior or spiritual advancement. In fact, divine guidance often comes most powerfully to those who know they're broken. Let go of the belief that you must become good enough to deserve God's attention. Impatience and forcing. Sometimes we want signs so badly that we force meaning onto random events. This impatience is natural but counterproductive. Divine timing rarely matches our preferred schedule. Trust that what you need to know will be revealed when you need to know it. Sometimes the waiting itself is part of the guidance, teaching you patience, trust. Surrender your timeline while remaining attentive and receptive, living a life attuned to divine guidance. Cultivating ongoing awareness. Recognizing divine signs isn't something you do occasionally, it's a way of living. Alert to meaning, open to mystery, expecting God to show up in ordinary moments. It's more like having a background awareness, similar to how you might be aware of music playing. You're engaged in your tasks, but part of your attention remains open to the sacred dimension always present beneath the surface of life, responding with obedience. Recognizing signs is only the first step. True spiritual growth requires response. Even when you don't understand the full reason, even when it disrupts your plans, each time you respond obediently to divine prompting, you strengthen your spiritual muscles and deepen your relationship with the divine. You make it harder to recognize guidance in the future. God doesn't waste words on those who consistently ignore them. Integrating head and heart. Mature spirituality integrates both rational thinking and intuitive knowing. But also don't let your intellect tyrannize your spirit. Some truths are known through reason, others through revelation. The wisest people learn to honor both ways of knowing and recognize when each is appropriate. When facing decisions, gather information and think carefully, but also pray, meditate, and listen to your deeper knowing. The goal isn't to choose between head and heart, but to bring them into alignment. Conclusion: a life transparent to the divine. Learning to recognize God's signs transforms ordinary life into sacred journey. Every encounter might be a divine appointment. Every challenge might be an invitation to grow. This doesn't mean you'll always understand everything that happens, or that life becomes easy. Mystery remains, suffering continues, questions persist, but even in the darkness, you'll sense you're not alone. Even in confusion, you'll trust there's a wisdom at work, larger than your understanding. The journey of developing spiritual discernment is lifelong. There will be times when signs are abundant and clear, and times when heaven seems silent. This is normal. The invitation is to remain faithful through all of it, continuing to show up, continuing to listen, continuing to trust that the divine. Start where you are today. Begin with simple practices, a few minutes of silence. Attention to your intuition, noticing synchronicities. Be patient with yourself as you learn this new language. Celebrate small victories, learn from mistakes. Gradually, your spiritual senses will sharpen on what once seemed invisible. You are surrounded by signs of God's presence and guidance. The question is, are you paying attention? The invitation is always open. The communication is always flowing. Is saturated with sacred possibility, and that you are always and in all ways deeply known, profoundly loved. End of presentation.